Good evening, one and all. Welcome to Leaders Connect, an online leadership community, episode 35, where leaders create more leaders, organized by the mass leadership. My name is Aarti. I'm a model and motivational speaker. Leaders Connect is started with a specific objective of creating 1,000 plus leaders, where all the working professionals and business people share their real time challenges on our website www.themassleadership.com. We see all the challenges, filter them, and every week on Wednesday, we invite top management leaders from a corporate company who will be giving us solutions for our real time challenges on leadership. That's when it is called as Leaders Create More Leaders. Currently, all are muted, and we will be giving you an opportunity to interact with our guest, Mr. Venkatachalam. But before that, let me also share that this also share that we are currently live on Facebook and this episode is being recorded. So, are you all ready to interact with our guest? Then please type yes in the chat box. Thank you. But before the introduction of our guest, let me take a privilege to introduce the founder of Leaders Connect, Mr. Prakash Sharma, who will be interacting with our guest today. Over to you, sir.
Good. Thank you very much, Aarti. That's been a quick and a really nice intro about the Leaders Connect. Superb. So, thanks to all. Welcome all the members, the visitors, as well as the guests who are here with us today. Thanks, Mr. Venkatachalam, for being with us. And Aarti, I would request you to read out the personal information about our guest, about Mr. Venkatachalam.
Sure. Then now it's the privilege to introduce about the guest of honor for the week. Mr. Venkatachalam's spouse name is Vidya V. His children's name are B.V. Hashwat, 12th going to join college, and B.V. Trishmita, 5th class. His hobbies are gardening, cooking, and astrology. His favorite sport is cricket, and he lives in Vadapalni. So, as you all know about his personal experience, to know about his professional experience, let's watch the video.
Great. So thanks very much and welcome all the members, guests, as well as the visitors. Kindly type welcome Mr. Venkatachalam on the chat box. And yes, our guest, Mr. Venkatachalam, is here with us for all. So yes, Mr. Venkatachalam, thank you very much for joining us today.
Yeah, of course. Very happy and delighted to be part of such a led group here. And I like the concept, the way you build up. In fact, I like the music which you play, very, very jazzy music. It really elevates me. Fine.
Oh, thank you very much.
I think.
To Mr. Manish.
Oh, great. Yeah. And I like the topic which you given to me today and delighted to roll out the program. I'm very happy about it.
Thanks very much, Venkatachalam. It was very good that you have been here with us. So going to the topic, as you rightly told, members and visitors who all are here for the first time, let me just quickly share that you'll be having certain links also coming up in the chat box. So those are the links. If you would like to keep continuously joining us, feel free to join us. And I also request all the members and visitors to turn on your video so that we as well as the guests can see you also and make it more interactive. That will really add a lot of value. Get? So as the topic goes, let's start ahead. Mr. Venkatachalam, trustworthy leadership is what we've been sharing. And there were certain key questions being shared in our community about this particular word trust. And trust is the base, in fact, for every leader if he has to keep constantly growing. And that's the basic element. And the leader should be able to be a trustworthy leader, and then is where a leader will be able to create trust in others. So both are there. And trust can be built through different ways, through different activities. And I can also sense that trust can be built through conversations. So that's when my first question is coming to you, Mr. Venkatachalam. Can really trust build? Can really trust be built by having conversations with people? And if it's so possible, then how it is possible? So we would like to share your views on that. It will be helpful.
Yeah, Prakash, in fact, you are hitting the nail on the head. There are multiple ways you can build trust in making a trust. But conversation is one of the prime and what do you call backbone of trust making. The word you say conversation, it's a very, very positive word. When we call a conversation, when the two individuals talk to each other and share their notes, when two people are giving importance to other and sharing their notes, they are respecting each other. So the conversation is there, definitely going to build trust on each other. I am very happy about the next questions you asked. How will you build through conversation? That's most interesting question, in fact.
True.
Yeah. So what happened when a leader or a manager when calls for a team meet or he joins for a work in the field working with the people? Always people believe that my manager is always up to something. In fact, lighter sense, people will say that he is like a staircase.
Yeah.
You may feel very proud, but the staircase is always up to something. So it may take you up to something. Something may be anything. So a leader has to make that something should be really a tangible and a winning note. That's why the Stephen Covey's quote I can say here: always begin with the end in the mind. If a leader sets his objective very clear and create a conversation with the end in the mind and take the people through that journey, the staircase will lead them to a win-win kind of conversation, which definitely builds a fantastic trust with each other.
Yes, in fact, Stephen Covey's, in fact, the 7 Habits for Highly Effective People shares or talks about the win-win approach, what we've been looking forward. True. And the staircase model is very nice one. We maybe keep going ahead and then we may not know where it takes us. And every floor by floor, when we keep moving, there is another floor which is always there until we reach the top. So we need to be very clear, very specific about what we need to be doing. Good. So we also have on this particular topic on the trust or trustworthy leadership, one of our member, Mr. Rajiv, is also there, and he would like to ask you a couple of questions. So I will also ask Mr. Rajiv to kindly turn on your video and unmute yourself so it helps. Yeah, Mr. Rajiv.
Good evening.
Good evening, Rajiv.
So it's a pleasure to have you. Actually, when we have these questions, to my mind, at least 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you should be speaking first. So that gets us into this is my personal feeling. Anyway, so I have a ready-made question here. It's come from the audience, our members. So that is, in your experience, what are the occasions in which a breach of trust happens?
Yeah, exactly. See, I think I value both the points you said. You said a topic has to be first unveiled for some time, then you ask questions. But this topic is such the trustworthy. It's a well beaten up topic. Everybody knows how far trust is important. Then we thought, I think the questions we take up, then we can build on the entire topic. Actually, that's the reason we are getting into questions first. Here, the question talking about what are the breach. See, the misconception and breach is one of the finest topics here. Most of the time, the leader he feels that he knows the things best. because he is coming to a position after a very long battle, maybe 10 years, 15 years of his experience. Okay, then he gets a position. So he has in the mind that he knows everything best. So when he approaches a team, he goes with the kind of mindset, okay, that he knows everything, others are not that much equipped to know, but much equipped. This is actually misconception which create a lot of conflicts. Secondly, he doesn't carry his intelligence, he carries the incidences. When I say I'm experienced for 20 years in the industry, he always like to quote all the incidents of what happened, but he misses of the intelligence. So I always say that the leader should carry the intelligence, because the incidences what you are seeing today is different from what you were seeing yesterday. The people are different, and issues are different, and even the environment, the intelligence, everything is different. So you as a leader, successful leader, carry your intelligence, the way you manage and come and handle situation here. That's another thing. And most importantly, breach the trust happens when you commit something and you will not obey, or you will not follow up that. You commit some date, this date I'll come back to you and do this, and this year the appraisal I am going to take up this, and he is anxiously waiting for the day. But the same thing happens, the appraisal day comes, you don't even care about that. This is a breach of trust happens exactly. And most importantly, we always tend to take things granted. I am working for a larger organization, legacy organization. When a person comes into my company, he feels more comfortable. So he's going to stay forever. It is not true. Whether you have a startup or you have a brilliant old and legacy organization, the millennials coming into the organization has a basic expectation. Like they expect, when I come to the place, the ambience has to be plug, play, perform, and progress. If I don't get a plug, play, perform, and progress kind of ambience, it's a breach. They expect this and come. So it is manager or leader has to give the ambience inside where they everything is set. The right laptop, good CRM kind of what do you call management platform, and everything in one platform, and very good colleagues and ambience, and rightly briefing of his work and work-life balance and holiday, everything is on properly done. All these things should be in place. This is a basic need, the hygiene factor here that has to be taken care by the managers actually.
In other words, what you are saying is that what a person expects and you're not
Ah,
able to meet that, it amounts to a breach of trust.
absolutely, absolutely.
And the other one
So
you said was when somebody has committed something. See, when you're talking about the
Yes.
trust, it is between two people actually. It is not one-sided. It is a husband and wife. There's a trust between two people that is involved.
hopefully,
So similarly, when you say a subordinate and a boss,
True.
that's why I was just trying to tweak that and ask you, what are the
yeah,
occasions from your experience? What are the occasions when you felt
yeah.
that I trusted? Now you gave one example where a subordinate uh, he commits something and he does not comply. He has broken the trust. But ulta
Okay.
also can happen where the subordinate trusts you on some things and it is broken.
Yeah, Mr. Raju, and thanks for this question. See, taking a live example, in a sales management, I can give you a very classical example. A national sales manager goes for the field work and joins with the local field colleague, and maybe a local area management or regional manager also joins. When they go to the customer, it customer may be a pharmacy or doctors, whatever they are going to meet. When customer is asking for a kind of investment, okay, thinking that a national leader has come, so when I ask him, he's going to give me. This leader here, if he commits for that investment, it's a breach of trust. What happens here? When he says, yeah, madam, I'm going to invest on you, this I'm going to do for the hospital. That means he says, these other two gentlemen with me, the local managers, are incapable. They
Mm.
cannot do anything. I am the person who can connect to me directly. There's a
Mm,
complete breach of trust. Instead, what
mm,
you should say, ma'am, I'm coming from head office. These two gentlemen are custodians of this business. If they recommend, I'll
Mm.
talk to them, I'll discuss, I'll get back to you. That's a more profound statement, which really builds trust.
Very nice.
This kind of incident can happen in the office atmosphere and wherever it could be.
right.
Hope I could connect you, Rajay.
Thank you. So this sort of thing, when you give these examples, it becomes more
Yeah,
clear to us. The different types of
yeah, I love that.
occasions where trust can be broken.
So
Yeah, thank you for that. And
very nice.
suppose we have a conflict. I'm just going to
Yeah,
the next question because suppose we have a conflict, like for example, this happened.
Yeah.
This guy has bypassed the local people, and there has been a conflict. You felt bad about that. Now, how do we go and restore that trust?
Yeah, see, conflict, in my thing, it's a very, very positive thing for any team. If you just compare two teams, a team with a lot of conflicts, a team with no conflicts.
Hmm.
Okay, so if you see in the years come, the team which is arguing, debating, and giving importance to each other, where the conflict comes, when leader allows someone to talk, listens to him, then only he raises say, then the kind of conflict comes here. So what happens here? The team with the conflicts able to evolve and go to the next stage and develop a lot of things for the company. The team which is having a yes boss kind of thing, they only believe the boss is best, go with them, and they continue to be where they are. They never improve in their organization. Classically, if I can tell you, when you're talking about trust and the conflict, both are independent entity. Trust can exist till you can have a conflict can exist till you can have a trust. I may believe, I may trust my boss. I may not agree with some of his policies, the conflict. Because of that conflict, my trust never goes down. I continue to trust him. Same thing happens for the politician or a leaders in the society. We trust the leader, but some of his policies we have a conflict. So conflict, when conflict is there, it's a symbol of progress and evolution. Okay, coming to the one-to-one discussions. For example, we are giving a classical case. Already we have a conflict with the person. We are going to be with him for some more time, and maybe a coaching class is going to happen. We're going to have some agenda for a meeting. But the conflict is there. Person is standing with a long face. The classical situation. In those conditions, always address the conflict first and spend some time, understand the viewpoint of the other with the active listening. Preferably take a pen and paper and start writing something and understand the points what is saying. After
So in other words, you are divorcing this from that breach of trust. You are telling that if any conflict between two people, if any conflict is there, and because of that there has been a reduction in trust,
no
then we
conflict.
have to resolve the conflict first before you can get back the trust.
Yeah, Raju. No. Let me complete. My point slightly differ here. Actually,
Okay.
I say the both can coexist. Conflict and trust can coexist. Still, you can build a wonderful team. You need not resolve a conflict. If you're thinking of resolving a conflict, your time, energy, everything is spent only on a conflict, resolving the conflict. Your main focus of achieving your task and target, whatever it is, we may not do that. So what I can say, you take these points, what he's trying to say, note down, and the words like, you have a brilliant point, let me park this, we'll discuss on some other appropriate time, and you get on to the business. Today's plan, what we should do, what is today's agenda of the meeting, we'll get on to that. The conflict should not be a showstopper for the today's work plan. Ensure that. So today's work is the building block for tomorrow's progress of the organization. If I'm hamper this with some of the conflicts, I'm actually doing something wrong for the organization. So let the conflict there, handle it separately, and let the day progress has to happen the way it has been planned by you.
No, that's exactly what I understood. That
Exactly.
you are divorcing the conflict from the trust factor here.
Yeah. It actually classically happens in many of the managerial this thing. People sometimes the pseudo conflicts comes. They know that the manager comes with a very larger agenda to create a conflict. They hijack the entire program, and our gentleman will go and keep on talking about that, trying to resolve. It will never get resolved because it's actually pseudo conflict. You understand that park it. They say let's park it. Let's get on to the business. That's most important. That's what you've been paid for. You have to run the show. That's important.
Right. Thank you. I think now we
Very,
have some other questions.
Good. Thank you very much, Raji, for asking that. In fact, excellent question which you asked. In fact, about the how do we really build the trust after a conflict is coming up, and that's what. Thanks, Mr. Venkatachalam, for sharing the answer. Just to add on, when your point was very excellent, and you're talking about, I still have trust on a leader, my superior, but I may not agree with the policy, new policy which he brings in. So that's the conflict what you're talking about. So conflicts, a healthy conflict should be there for a particular leader is what you're saying, correct? It's not.
Yeah, encourage conflicts. It's
encourage conflict for a leader to grow constantly. Then only will grow. More conflicts are there, it really adds value.
Exactly. In fact, I'm not able to understand this at all. Why should conflict be connected with trust at all? conflict is a part of. In fact, when I read these questions which are passed on to me, I
Yes.
understood it differently. I was connecting it because it came along with the trust. That is why I asked it like that. Otherwise,
True.
where is the conflict? The conflict will come when you're on in a matter of trust. Some relationship has got spoiled.
Yes.
In that connection, I was talking about the conflict. Otherwise, I agree with you. In our day-to-day work life, there are so many conflicts because of that. Straight away, trust does not get affected.
Absolutely, absolutely. You take a
Trust
movie.
is something. It's something
Yeah,
totally
you are right.
Yeah.
You are
other
right.
than that.
Raju, classical example, you can take the movie. Movie
Yes.
comes with a lot of conflict, lot of things. We may not agree with many of the point the movie when goes on. When movie gets over, then you'll agree all the conflicts are right. Like that, what is seen as a conflict or not right in the beginning of a journey, once you perform in the end of the year or a month, you agree that those things are right. So that visionary is a leader. Leader knows it. Today you may not agree with this point what I am making. Tomorrow when we achieve something, you understand how nice this journey was all about. That initial conflicts has to be parked and you get on to the mainstream, then they will come and join later.
And very necessary, just to add on here, Mr. Venkatachalam, just to add on also from Mr. Raji what he's saying. So if a conflict has happened, now how do you approach after a conflict? Okay, after a conflict, to gain the trust of a customer or a client, how do you approach them? If that dialogue also can be shared, that will be helpful. You have shared a dialogue saying that you have a brilliant point, let's keep it aside. That is when there is a conflict coming for a discussion or during a discussion. But after a conflict has come out, and you still have to interact with the customer, how the dialogue can be there, and that could also be shared, will be very helpful for our members here.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's slightly different. We're digressing from leadership to the customer handling. Yeah, conflict happens. The customer front is totally different because
Yes.
the customer is more of a business, and you have to have kind of more win-win situation. Okay,
True.
so in the journey of leadership with the team you are building, the conflict, I say it is actually good. Even you park it later on, they come and join you. That's different. When you're meeting a customer, when a customer says that your product is not good, or when you did this kind of program, I'm not happy with this program or the service what you have done, it's a kind of conflict. Okay, here actually more of listening and putting a leading question and extracting more and more. Okay, then taking that idea how this can be better. You may spend more time on this and you will ask for how to better it. Then you will give a confidence saying that, madam, I definitely agree with what you are talking about. Okay, and I will try to avoid this in the coming. So where you use that adversity into an opportunity. And for example, you are taking an order from a customer and he says this product quality is not good, and you're given understanding why it is not good, how you studied, you are understanding this, or someone else is telling you whose experience is all this. Like that, you probing questions you'll ask, understand completely better. Then you'll say, I think this was point was came and with newer batch of product what you are bringing, it is not like that. Can you try my new batch? By now you're answering the conflict and taking care of the conflict, you're going to get a new order from the same lady. So they're converting the adversity into an opportunity here.
Excellent, excellently shared. In fact, Venkatachalam, that really helps and adds value to our members here. In fact, building trust is really very necessary, is what we feel. But how do we build? In fact, the reason why I asked this question is there are people in the members in the room are here. There has been a conflict, but they hesitate to go and approach the person after that. If there is a conflict, even with a superior or subordinate, or even in fact a colleague, a leader's role is after a conflict, they should go ahead and approach. And the approaching itself is become a lot of hesitation for few people. And that's the reason I asked how they can go and approach, how they actually can do it. And you've given it a very classical example which you've shared. So I'm sure even the members over here will be really getting a more clarity about these ideas.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sure, Venkatachalam. And just to, Mr. Rajan, do you have one more question, sir, or can we proceed with the quiz? How do you feel?
No, actually, you asked me to ask these two questions. So
Yes, perfect. Thanks very much, Mr. Rajan, for asking those questions.
If something comes up, we can ask.
Yes, it helps. True. Thank you. Venkatachalam, the wonderful answer so far which has been shared. We'll also have a quiz question now, and based on what and how we have been taking it forward. And from the quiz question is where we'll still move ahead with more of other questions from our visitors and members who are here today as well. Right? So for the quiz, I would request Mr. Rangarajan is one of our member to take over. So Mr. Rangarajan, I believe you're there. So you can go ahead and ask the quiz. So and why the quiz also, please do share, Rangarajan. That's very, very necessary and important as well.
The quiz to understand the people, whether they got the key points, whether they are having the relationship with the leadership connect course. So just I want to ask the question. My question is, Mr. Venkatachalam sir has told two things to bridge the trust between the leader and the subordinate. What is need to be considered? What is need to be neglected? Two eyes.
Super. So
Master
2
finger
points.
first. Yeah.
For the breach of trust is what he said, right? 2 points.
Yeah.
3 points to it.
No, two things need to be considered. One need to be neglected. Two words. One need to be neglected. One need to be considered.
All right. So the members, all the question is for you. Members and visitors, the question is for you. What are the 2 points which Mr. Venkatachalam has told, which needs to be considered and neglected during the breach of trust? And that's a question which has been asked by the Rangarajan. And sure, what you can do is type in your answers on the chat box, what you feel, what you're listening from Mr. Venkatachalam. And I'm sure what you will be getting also will let you know. So let's see if the chat box, there are answers there. Okay,
One
Mr.
more.
Senthil Kumar says, go ahead, Rangarajan. Senthil Kumar says 2 points.
Yeah, second thing which Senthil Kumar told, that is the answer. We have to carry the intelligence, neglect the incidents.
Wonderful, wonderful. Excellent, Mr. Senthil Kumar.
Good.
So,
Now the win is Senthil Kumar sir.
yes.
Over to you, Prakash.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rangarajan, for doing so. In fact, Senthil, you are the quiz winner for the day. Rightly answered and excellent listening. In fact, Mr. Venkatachalam has been highlighting or focusing more about listening, and that's when you have been sharing it across. Good one, Mr. Senthil.
Yeah.
So the point which needs to be considered or neglected are these two. That's when it's been there in the chat box. So intelligence has to be considered and incidents has to be neglected. Thanks very much for sharing. So Senthil, so since you are part of the quiz winner, you would be entitled for the Mask Leadership's book, which you'll be receiving it as complimentary. So members and visitors, type maybe congratulations Senthil for doing it so. So great, Senthil. We'll come back to you again. Senthil, you would get an opportunity to ask a question if you have any now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
You like to ask a question now, Mr. Senthil?
yeah, the question is,
Please.
when we talk about the trustworthy leadership traits, I want to come with a situation like appraisal, lead the appraisal discussion forum, where our boss must have fixed some thing for the team. So I need to build a trust with my boss when it comes to appraisal. So he would have given me some norms which I'm supposed to follow in my heart, which I'm not supposed to reveal to my subordinate. At the same time, when I discuss with my subordinate, I should not overcome it. As you said rightly, when we say something, we need to stick to it. So I need to build the trust with my subordinate parallelly. Even the subordinate expects something, which I know that it is not going to happen. How do we overcome such kind of tight corner situation?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Senthil, if I understand you correct, you're talking about some kind of budgetary planning by your boss, and you are getting that monetary the budget. While passing on that, how I am going to manage. You're talking about the financials, right?
Yeah, I mean that, for boss has given me some budget for my team, for appraisal.
Yeah.
And my subordinate is asking something beyond that, which is not going to happen.
Correct.
At the same time, I need to build a trust with my boss. I need to build a trust with my subordinate. How do I strike a balance between this?
Yeah. Brilliant question. I think timely. There are many places appraisals also on now.
Yeah.
Basically, if you see, like, appraisal is one of the wonderful tool to appraise the task which has been declared in the beginning of the year. That means you have to stick on to the KPI KRAs which has been derived in the year beginning, maybe April or maybe in the month of January, whatever the calendar you follow. That has to be appraised end of the year. So financial part never bring into the appraisal discussion. way you guide him to reach the goal, way you are going to analyze him, the performance against the goals being set, whether he has done the goals being set in the proper way, whether where he is faulted, where he can improve. Once you have very good, robust, clear appraisal system, end of the appraisal, you may appraise him to 85%, 90%, 95%, maybe 105% also. While completing appraisal itself, you will negate so many unwanted questions here. Once you go robust appraisal system and set the next year goals accordingly, money part only takes a backseat. Because so much so they engage. They understand that how much they delivered, how much they not. If he has really delivered very well, he is very well sure that I have done a brilliant job. I will get a best of my appraisal and best of my increment. If he is in 105% bracket, you can always say again and again. You work on the deliverables, what he has done. On that you spend, no, the clarity is much more better. That's why people will falter. They go by the money and talking about the monetary benefit, how much I get. That is important, no doubt. But once you did do this kind of background appraisal process, then you get into the money part. Nobody will deny you at all.
So as a tangible, yeah, well said and well perceived for the input. As a tangible commitment for that guy, since he has said 105 or 108, and if he's a top performer, he may deserve to be to go to next level. He may deserve to get a promotion, which according to the management right now is not possible because of business scenario or constraint. So how do I tackle or how do I convince the high potential candidate who deserves the promotion? Similarly, how do I manage my super boss in managing the scenario, in keeping him or retaining the potential candidate within the organization?
Brilliant question. I'm very happy about this question. If you see the Hedberg's hierarchy or Hedberg's motivational theory, it talks about two things. One is the hygiene factor, second is motivational factor. Okay, the salary and work nature and work ambience all comes under hygiene theory. So what is actually motivates the people? Motivation is actually the way you engage them, give them a task. Okay, some people, the work itself is a motivation factor. Okay, so if you see that since I am not giving him a promotion, since I am not giving him a kind of a remuneration, what he is expecting, he is not going to be motivated, he is not going to be engaged. We are grossly wrong, because the individual, they may sound, but if you really touch them and tell them about, this is what you stand here. Because of your performance of 105%, you are elevating you as a buddy kind of nature. You're going to educate or handhold some of the people of the team. Like that extra responsibility you add on to them, that's going to motivate them. Okay, you can always say that today this is the stepping stone. Your performance again will measure on how you are building your team, which is going to give you the course of time. Maybe a promotion. A promotion means not only the position elevation, also it's going to be the monetary benefits are going to be very high. So 2 points here. One is the motivation differs to people. Okay, it is not only monetary. If the situation is such where we are not able to promote him at this point of time, denying the promotion is not denying it. Actually, you can always give him the in between position extra responsibility. Make him as a very good team player and talking to people on various things. For example, we can say in a sales scenario, you can give him as month-end sales handling responsibility, or give him a responsibility of developing newcomers on scientific development. That actually makes him to groom to the next level. Performance alone cannot make one eligible for the next level. For going to the next level, he need to build so many other stones he has to unturn. So he has to experience handling people, handling the scientific questions, or handling some kind of extra responsibility that makes him as a complete leader. Have it in a dialogue form. Today you are this. I'm going to add these are the work to you. By adding this, tomorrow when you after 7-8 months, you will mature to be a better leader. That time, if I give you the position, you will take up and perform better. That gives more confidence. Thanks for the question. Very good question, actually.
But you said some book, some theory, right? Can you just come again? What is the name of the theory?
No, it's actually
Motivational factor theory.
Hertzberg. Hertzberg's motivational theory. Hertzberg.
Hedgeberg's motivational theory. We can definitely Google that. I'm sure you'll get it. That's a very nice theory, and I'm sure how practically we need to put it is more important. And that's what Mr. Venkatachalam has shared it with us now. And very good, sir. In fact, members as well as visitors, now is the time to ask any open questions to Mr. Venkatachalam if you have any. Two ways to ask questions. If you have a question, either type in the chat box and we will take up the question, or if you feel that you want to ask the question directly, raise your hand and then we will give you an opportunity to speak to our guest of honor directly and you can ask the question directly. So I also believe Mr. Rangarajan has another question. So Rangarajan, you can also go ahead with the question you wanted to ask. About the leader, manager, team member, the last time when you put it in the Mass Leadership's challenge, right? So you have shared that question. So please ask the question to Mr. Venkatachalam. It's very apt for this particular episode.
Yeah, my question is, when you are becoming a leader, there may be a subordinate who has mindset and thinks about a managerial candidate. Okay, the way of managerial candidate will be there. If you become a leader, you have to be a coach. Okay, so for being the coach for a managerial candidate, how to transfer him and make him as a leader and make him trust it. Leadership is a good tactics. We have to go beyond the leadership for a managerial candidate.
Yeah. I think a lot of components in your own question. It's a good question. Well,
we'll reframe the question for you, Mr. Venkatachalam. The point what he was asking is, there is a managerial team member is there, and if you have to make him to the next level of leadership, he has to grow, and if he has to become more trustworthy leader, what as leader should I do then? So that's my subordinate, but he has to grow next and become a trustworthy leader. Is that the question?
Exactly, sir.
Yeah, correct. See, how do we make managers in an organization? Today's we see managers. Somebody joins the organization, he learns the job, he betters the job, he understands every function of the organization, every functions of his work domain. He goes to next level to impact same knowledge to 5 more people. Like that, he keeps growing it. Okay. So my thing is here. You had a two component in your question. One is the leader exhibiting his talent management skill by spotting a managerial candidate and trying to promote him. Second thing I spotted in the question is that making a today's manager as a trustworthy leader tomorrow. So both are the two angle to answer this question. So I take up how to convert a manager into a trustworthy manager, trustworthy leader. So the leadership is actually, I always believe that leaders are born leaders. Okay, but we can't have all born leaders because evolution has really taught us the behaviors of leaders which can be taught to people and which can be replicated. That's why the training modules comes up. You pick up a leadership behavior traits and try to educate people on that. So the person who's doing a managerial job, that is the first basic requisite to become a leader of tomorrow. He understands the job function, it's subject matter expert. From that, he has to be elevate himself to a leader. For that, definitely the few qualities of a leadership has to be nurtured. Like for example, he should be very good in setting an objective, creating a goal and driving his team towards that goal. And he has to be consistent in his approach. He cannot keep changing the goalpost. He sets the goalpost, he has to be consistent in the approach. And he has identified the right talent around him and delegate the work to them, like empowering them with the right intent. This guy is good at this, I should use him properly for this kind of functions. More importantly, he should have the interest of growing the business. Growing the business happens only when you take a risk. If you don't take a risk, you will stay in the same place in your life. And very importantly, you need to have innovative approaches. The conventional method may not work. I can say in the pharmaceutical industry, 70, 80 years old industry in Indian market, not even an inch has changed. The same marketing ideas of people meeting a customer, detailing the product is happening. Thanks to Corona, 1 year of Corona has brought in a lot of innovation. Today, people reach out to the customers in different means, which is never thought of earlier. Similarly, ability to take a risk and bringing innovative approaches, you definitely make today's managerial material as a good leader tomorrow. And also you can really groom your entire team for that. In fact, one step I can say that the best way to groom leaders is like you talk about, no, like Prakash says, no leader makes a leader. That's exactly the leader. The people working under the eminent leader by seeing the way he is behaving, the way he is talking, way he is dressing, way language he uses in adverse situation, how he behaves. All this gets imbibed into the mind, and people start replicating the behavior. A good leader in an organization can develop 10 to 15 leaders under him very easily. That's very important. So leader learns from leader. If not, no doubt, you can always bring these leadership traits which we discussed now, can be made into a very good structured program.
Actually from Daimler India, and
Wow.
Rajiv is Manish Learning, all are from different industries in their own respective fields. Thank you very much, Nagaraj, for asking that question. I'm sure you'll receive the answer as well.
Yes.
Mr. Vikas, we also have two hands which is raised. So
Nagendra.
one is Nagendra Prasad and one is then Shashank. We have two people, and I believe let's go ahead with Mr. Shashank was asking first. Shashank, I believe you're there. Yeah, Mr. Shashank, we'll give you an option. You can go ahead and ask the question, Mr. Shashank, quickly. In the interest of time, make it faster.
Hello, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to asking the question. And so currently I am a fresher and I'm pursuing MBA in business analytics. And so being a fresher, what I have recognized is that being an MBA graduate, how shall I develop the trust within the company when I will join, and what steps has to be, and what all steps I have to take so that I can reach up to the level that I can satisfy the company needs as well, and along with it the customers need as well, so as to produce the value. Sir,
Good. Yeah, Shashank, and really nice to see that you're coming up and putting up your question here. And which stream of MBA you done actually?
sir,
Marketing
MBA,
or
business analytics.
business analytics? Very
Yes,
good.
actually,
Good
sir, I have completed my BTech from SRM University, and as that of my interest, I just took this stream into the analytics because I was more interested into data science field.
So, what do you want to become in life?
Sir, so that's really a tough question, because what I just want is, I just only want to contribute something that I can produce value to the society. Another thing, sir, my main aim is to open my own firm within the upcoming 10 or 11 years, because if I also have some plans within my mind running in it. So
Okay. So, you want to become an entrepreneur?
yeah.
Very good, very good. See, how I'm asking is that unless you have a clear vision about what you want to become in life, you are not setting your own goals right. You cannot make a route for that. So the MBA is only a qualification which gives you an identity. After the MBA, how you are applying your learned behaviors, learned subject into the reality, the function you're going to apply on your real life is most important. So keep brushing your knowledge regularly and look for an opportunity to showcase your talent. Nothing comes in platter. You have to strive for that. For example, now you're telling that you want to become an entrepreneur in 12 years time. I like the statement because you have some time bound plan. You said 12 years on entrepreneurship, but still you'll be more clear that this industry and this I want to do. Then you'll be very clear. You will walk towards the direction.
Yes,
That is where you have to really focus. And whatever comes on the way, for example, you want to work on a data science, whatever data sciences the company is trying to do, try to volunteer and get into that and start contributing. Slowly, they will start seeing you as an added value to the organization. Once you're really able to carve out some newer product and newer kind of innovative approaches that can be a product for your tomorrow's company. So how much you apply yourself and you sharpen your need and your vision, that much you will deliver in your life. I think you can do
12
it.
years he wants
Sir,
to know.
actually, what happens with me, I just try to explore the whole market, in the business analytics field, and there are many things which I have observed, but if I get to know all the things, then I used to get confused that what shall I do, that and how shall I do? There are these many things. How shall I manage the time? How should I achieve these things?
I will definitely help you as a part of this.
Very good, very good.
But I think one basic question. See, his question was, during the 12 years he's working in a company, how is he going to build trust? That was basically our topic today is trust. So his question basically was, how can I build my trust building skills? How can I develop that? What do I need to do? That's what is the basic question. If I understand correctly, Shashank.
Yes, sir.
Sashant liked your question. So, you're signing on that. See, Sashant, I think again the same thing comes here. Okay, whatever you want to do in your life, keep it have a clear roadmap, and take an opportunity, build on your own capabilities on that. Any chance comes, you latch on that and start working on that. Contribute to the company. More you contribute, more trust you build. At the early stage of the career, it's all performance matters. The people who perform, they only create an impact in the mind of others. Whatever you do with trust building, good, going on time, everything is pakka, the performance is not coming, that may not build you trust at all. At the early stage of the career, performance speaks a lot. Build that performance, volunteer, and be part of everything happening in the organization. That will build you a very good hold in the organization. Tomorrow also, you can build a similar kind of company.
Sir. And sir, how shall I develop these skills?
Keep your word. In other words, you are saying keep your word. If you have promised something, always do that. And if you have committed something, always do that.
No. First commit something. Okay.
No, both. No?
Then keep up the word. Accomplish that. I think you are right. Yeah, you should do that. Yeah.
See, that's a basic takeaway for me from this whole session is that trust is something it's between two people. So if you are breaking that, you can switch roles both ways. Sometimes you are the person who is promising some things. Then you have to keep your word. Sometimes it is ulta, that some things are expected of you as an employee, as this thing. And if you are, as he rightly said, if you are fulfilling all that, then you become a trustworthy employee. Whenever you keep breaking it, then the boss, the company loses confidence in you. So that's
brilliant.
It's a very good question, Shashank. I mean, you are on the right path, I would say.
Yeah, thanks Rajiv for sharing that as well. That is a really good answer, in fact, which we can also share with Shashank. And before we go to Nagendra Prasad's question, definitely Nagendra Prasad will be sharing an opportunity now. Just to add on, in fact, Shashank, there are two ways. One is also trustworthy leadership. For that, if you have for your question, one is trusting self and trusting others. There are two aspects also. And trusting self is what maybe initially first you need to have, you need to initially build first for that, Shashank. That's where I will also suggest for you is trusting self. Trusting self is all about self-confidence. I'm sure that will start. Trusting others will slowly start happening. First have the trust within yourself, then trusting others. Other people trusting you will automatically happen. As Mr. Venkatachalam told, commit yourself and then do certain things, trust will be built. So on that note, let's give ahead opportunity now to Nagendra Prasad to ask a question. I believe this is going to be the last question for the episode today. But other members and visitors, if you still have any questions, make it a little faster. So it will be helping us. And keep the question very short and crisp so it avoids us taking a longer time. So Nagendra Prasad, over to you for your respective questions.
Hey, hi Prakash.
Yes.
Good evening. I think I have two questions.
Yes.
See, first question is, in a virtual world today, right? We manage virtual teams and it becomes too tough for us to really understand what each individual or the person below us is doing. And at times it requires for us to do a micromanagement, which even if as leaders, we don't really intend to do. But that micromanagement is somewhere hampering the trust that we have, because in an office environment, I really do not dig into each individual saying, what are you doing now? Right. Okay. But for me to get something delivered for my customer or whoever it is, I need to do this micromanagement, and that will, I hope you got the questions. How do we bridge this, trust by still doing a micromanagement as it's required? That's the first question that I have. Second question is, as leaders.
Is that okay?
Okay.
Yeah, that will really add value. Thank you very much. And maybe you know which company you're working. It will help all other members as well.
I work for Mindtree Limited.
Thanks very much.
Prasad, that's a brilliant question. The typical Corona question. The Corona days are everywhere. People work from home, not connected. And we always say people have to see each other and understand and connect, then only you get a good trust. But now everybody is working in isolation. How will you build a trust here? Exactly. See, basically task-based leadership. When you're given a task, you are focusing on the task given to you. Okay. Here, the main role could be the coaching conversation, what you take it up actually. Like I said, the leaders always think that my team will deliver what I expect. They keep telling only that. So they never open up to listen to them. So in the coaching conversation, what it talks about, like when you have an agenda, you make your people to tell that agenda through them. The way you may not talk much, you only give leading questions, slowly put how you do this, how you do that, what we can measure. So you sign up at the end of the conversation, you sign up agreement saying that I will start following up on these things. You will deliver me at these timelines, both in agreement on the same page. So instead of people feeling that you are doing a micromanagement, you do a micromanagement, nothing wrong in that, but you will do it with the kind of agreement with the person whom you are doing it like. That actually your coaching conversation, making them talk, I want to complete this task by this. For example, leader goes and tells, my boss has given me a task, by coming Friday, I want to finish it. Okay. And I want you all to deliver it and get back to me. Tomorrow I'll have a call again, 5 o'clock. It's actually a command. You are not participating them. You are not understanding the difficulty, what they have. Instead, you go and say, the boss has given a task, but before I commit to him next Friday, I want to take your input. Guys, your team, get back to me, how we can do it. I'll take your input, then we'll go and commit to him. You may have committed to him also, but you are opening up the session to people to come and give their own ideas and views. There you note down the points and slowly infuse them to accept the timelines, and finally you say, I think the team is confident of doing in Friday. I think I will commit to my boss that Friday I'm going to do this, and I am with your confidence, I'm committing this, let's do it.
Okay.
That is the way you put it across, a conversation you build with the team and builds a trust as well as you accomplish the task given to you also.
Okay, I think it's a fair point. Coaching conversation is a new thing that I would definitely take it up.
Fantastic. Yeah. We can
Very
always,
relevant. Very relevant.
Second.
In fact, coaching conversation also has been done. You'd like to ask a second question? You also have one more question, but make it short, Nagendra Prasad, so that
Very short.
One more
Yeah.
question.
So I think, the second question is, we take a lot of efforts in terms of mentoring our subordinates to bring them up to the leadership level, right? But it's a journey. It's not a short course or so. Somewhere I feel that they really do not see the end goal, and by learning, at least let's say if I have 10 steps to mentor them, by learning 3 steps, they feel so empowered and they just move on for a better opportunity without going through the whole journey. How do we keep them motivated to, though we tell them this is the goal of it, but how do we keep them motivated till then and then build that trust to ensure that they travel along so that we grow mutually?
Yeah, it is a industry problem, and you see that because of opportunities and lesser manpower here, and people like to see short-term goals and keep jumping. One of the point I said is like how we are bringing a person into the organization with the expectation he comes in. Okay, we have to see many times what we are seeing as a outcome. If you go deep dive, go to the diagnostic approach and see the diagnosis of what is actually happening. If you see somewhere down the line, you would not have given a proper ambience for him to work. Mm-hmm. Or maybe talking, two things here. One is how ambience we are giving to them, and then we are going to make them work effectively. You are hiring a horse. Are you giving the horse job or donkey's job? First point. Second is you are trying to develop them as a leadership material for tomorrow, giving a task. Sometimes they may not be that competent to take it also. They may get overloaded. The one more thing I talk about, Sheikh McCasley, a kind of a flow method where they talk about you should not give a work where you give boredom or over engage them. It should be in a flow. Sometimes you give overwork, then the flow, they will go to a shell, they may not work. If you give a lesser work to them, they go to boredom. So the work has to be as per the competency. It has to have a flow, a complete flow. So are we doing that first? Secondly, these people, when you have a lead, want to develop them, the intrinsic motive of the person, the motto should be to have take a growth and grow in a career. Only those people get ignited when you give whatever the kind of leadership material to them or motivate them. If they don't have the fire in them, they never get ignited. Their need is different. So even when you are modulating your own coaching or your training programs or giving a goal for them, as per their need, as per their real potential, you can change it. Not one recipe for everybody. The recipe changes as per the individual competency actually. That is where we have to do more groundwork in understanding our resources. What is the requirement? Accordingly, we make a recipe for them.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much. I think it's really helpful.
Yeah, Prasad. Thanks for the question.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, Prakash.
That's been really great. And that's excellent answer which has been shared as well. So members and visitors, as a quality time, and we'll quickly summarize it. I believe we also have one more question in the chat box. But Venkatachalam, I will share that question to you later, and you can send us your solutions, what it could be.
Sure.
There's one more chat, and in the interest of time, I believe it's a question from Mr. Manivannan. He put it across me privately. So I just need the private chat box question. So I'll share it with you later.
Yeah.
Great. So thanks very much. Let me quickly summarize about what are the key aspects which we have taken today and the insights, and to go back to help us to demonstrate in our respective roles what we play. In fact, we started off, and then Mr. Venkatachalam shared us to the point saying that the trust is a line where we need to collaborate, the win-win situation. That's when the trust factor really starts increasing more and more. And from there is where we moved on, and we spoke about the breach of trust, and there were several factors for the breach of trust. One of that, the mindset of knowing is what we need to be sharing. The mindset should be very clear, where Mr. Venkatachalam shared. And then there are a couple of other points about the breach of trust was spoken. It's very nice. But even before that, very necessary is the ambience, and he put across the 3 P's: the plug, play, and perform. So these 3 should really work well. And these 3 are in place, then things will go for a smooth. And I'm sure trust is in the environment also. It's just not only with the people alone, even the environment creates trust. There are certain times we go to a particular environment, the environment gives a pleasant feeling, automatically trust starts building for us. And that's something which new, which I learned from you, Mr. Venkatachalam. That's really good. When environment builds trust. And then we moved on to the conflicts. And after conflict, how can we really build trust? And conflict is all about definitely leaders should be having, but a healthy conflict is what we have given as a point. And that's a different perspective which we need to be looking at it. And healthy conflicts and point of trust and conflict, 2 different points are shared. So we need to keep having trust on our superiors, trust on our subordinates, but does not mean that the policies may be different. And I mean, having a conflict in the policies shared by my superiors, and that's a conflict is different. And conflict is not all the time where the trust is going to be broken. So conflict is different, trust is different. That's one of the lines which you shared with us. Thank you for sharing it. From there, we moved into certain key policies of network factor, the hygiene factor, the motivation factor, what you told us. And then there are a couple of questions which our members asked, which have given more clear insights to them and sharing the solutions, what they need, where they are facing the challenges in their current job role. And last but not the least, I liked one of your points which you told about the coaching conversations, what we need to operate. And that was a really nice point. We start leading the questions. Our role is not to micromanage, give them the clarity by asking questions, whether it's complete, do we need any help? Such leading questions will really gain the trust is what you're sharing, and the intrinsic motivation where a person needs to be motivated. So these are all the points which have been taken up from today's episode. So thank you very much, Mr. Venkatachalam, for sharing it. And for all the members and the visitors, we have our next week's speaker. I would like Mr. Yugender, our team member, or one of our members here, to share the next week's speaker. Over to you, Mr. Yugender, to share it. Yes, Yugender, kindly unmute yourself so it helps.
Hi, good evening. And as today's session is, it is very thought-provoking session. And as the current scenario, trustworthy leaders, so it's very good the topic. And so before me sharing about the next week leader, let me quickly share again the purpose of the community for the visitors who are attending for the first time. Leaders Connect is online leadership community where every week on Wednesday from 6:30 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. we invited top management leader from a reputed corporate company to share the solutions for our real-time leadership challenge, either on leading self, leading others, or leading the business, like how you have seen today, Mr. Guest, Mr. Venkachalam. And this Leaders Connect online leadership community does not stop in sharing this solution alone every week, but we also have a reflection episode to track the learning and convert into an action plan on the last Wednesday of every month. That's when we call as creating leader more leaders. If you wish to join our community, please click on the WhatsApp group link, which is on your chat box, and you will be able to join us to receive weekly updates or call us on the number shared on the WhatsApp. And then we'll add into our community. We believe and trust in potential of every human being who can constantly grow. But the growth is in ourselves as whom you spend your time. For the members, do remember to write your learning and action plan on the respective login credentials shared with you. So now I'm happy to introduce that the next week leader, Mr. Pramod Kumar Rajput, Senior Vice President, Sales and Marketing, Kedla Pharmaceuticals Limited. And topic would be on becoming a self-aware leader. Now I'd like to thank Mr. B.J. Venkachalam for spending your valuable time in sharing your experience and solutions.
Thank you so much. And I'm really honored with this presence. And I think we should connect often and learn a lot of topics like this. It's a brilliant effort, so Prakash, keep it up.
Thank you very much, Venkachalam, for being in here, sharing your views and experience. I'm sure the solutions, what we gave today, will be adding a lot of value to all our members here.
Pleasure.
Thanks very much. So thanks again. Thanks all the members, and for all the members, visitors, as well as the guests, we have one last thanking video. So stay tuned to the thanking video, and then we'll be having a great week. So the video is on here. Manish, feel free to play the thanking video, Manish.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Thanks very much, Venkachalam sir. It's been good, and then thanks all one and all for being in here. We will be meeting next week again along with Mr. Pramod Kumar Rajput, who is the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Cadila Pharma. I'm sure this becoming a self-aware leader, that's more important. How can we be more self-aware? This is one of the questions keeps on striking in every person's mind. Stay tuned with your questions where we can ask the respective leader next week. So until then, please do type in your respective questions on our site, or as well as your learnings on the respective logins which are given. Thank you one and all. So meet you all again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.